the entire continent. When Sinbad was born, there was a meteor shower that lit up the sky all over the world, seen as a sign that he was meant for great things. His father named him Sinbad and predicted that he would grow up to be the best sailor ever known, and everyone around the world would recognize his name. A few years later, Badr, once a celebrated war hero, turned away from conflict and embraced a peaceful life with his family. He had witnessed the horrors of war and simply desired a quiet existence, spending his days fishing, farming, and relaxing. One day, Badr set out to sea to catch some fishes, but it turns out that little Sinbad ended up getting on the boat without Badr noticing. Badr's main concern, of course, was the danger the sea posed, especially for a 2-year-old. So he planned to catch a few fish and then head back to the coast. However, things took a turn for the worse as a fierce storm erupted with thunder and strong winds. Badr fought hard to keep the boat afloat, but then Sinbad, just a toddler, pointed in a direction indicating where to steer. Badr, initially wanting to go the opposite way, decided to trust the little child. Surprisingly, they followed Sinbad's guidance and managed to escape the storm. It's quite amusing to think that a 2-year-old had better navigation skills than Badr. Maybe next time you're lost, just hand the GPS to the youngest person in the car. Who knows? They might steer you right. 2 years have elapsed, and little Sinbad, now 4 years old, patiently waits for his father on the beach every day while Badr goes fishing in the sea. Sinbad is captivated by the water and repeatedly asks his dad to take him along. However, Badr insists on waiting until Sinbad is a bit older to teach him. One day, as they enjoy their meal on the beach, a group of people approaches and starts berating Badr. They label him a traitor for refusing to participate in the war, criticizing him for not aiding the country in its time of need. Despite Badr's refusal, one of the men grabs him, insults him, and they eventually beat him unconscious. When Badr regains consciousness hours later, he finds a tearful Sinbad by his side. Badr, displaying an unusual resilience, acts as if nothing happened, resumes eating and brushes off the incident. Sinbad, however, is furious with his father. He knows that Badr could have easily defeated the attackers but chose not to. Badr attempts to impart some moral lessons, but Sinbad, feeling deeply upset, declares himself adopted and storms back home. At the dinner table, tension hangs in the air. Amidst this atmosphere, Badr instructs Sinbad to fetch water from the well. Sinbad complies, but not before sarcastically questioning Badr about the nature of their relationship. Badr, displaying a grim sense of humor, suggests they might have needed a different plan, indicating the challenges they faced due to being considered traitors in the eyes of their country. Before Badr could respond, Sinbad rushes back, exclaiming he found a fat bear near the well. To their surprise, the fat bear turns out to be a large, injured man almost on the verge of death. Badr takes care of the injured man, nursing him back to health, and the next day the man wakes up. Badr explains that Sinbad found him and saved his life. The man, who introduces himself as a traveling merchant, expresses his gratitude to Sinbad and informs Badr that his ship got wrecked, leading to his injuries. Despite the improbable story, Badr accepts it without much skepticism. Sinbad, surprisingly at ease around the stranger, attempts to engage in a conversation about race. However, Badr silences him, cautioning that such discussions could trigger conflicts. The merchant, nicknamed T-800, shares information about people outside their continent having diverse hair and skin colors, living together peacefully, without discrimination, and even mentions the existence of unicorns. Sinbad becomes fascinated by the idea of exploring the world, although his interest takes an unsettling turn as he contemplates trading slaves. Ezra advises Badr to ask Terminator to leave, citing their scarcity of food and half-jokingly suggesting Terminator might eat humans for breakfast. Despite his wife's counsel, Badr chooses to do the opposite, inviting Terminator to stay as long as he wishes, a decision that bewilders everyone. As Terminator and Sinbad grow closer, he shares bedtime stories about his travels, the diverse places he visited, the people he met, and unfortunately, details about slaves and cotton fields he owns. One day, while Badr was away, Terminator woke up and began packing, telling Ezra he had rested enough and was ready to leave. However, his departure was halted when soldiers suddenly arrived, claiming they were searching for a spy in the area. They forcefully entered the house. Outside, the Terminator carried out his programmed mission, brutally fighting and killing the soldiers. Ezra's terrified screams pierced the air, waking Sinbad. Upon emerging, Sinbad witnessed the Terminator standing amidst the chaos, sword in hand, surrounded by dead soldiers and bloodied ground. Terrified, Terminator swiftly grabbed Sinbad and rushed to the central market, threatening to kill the boy unless the locals provided him with a boat, food, and money. He confessed to being an enemy spy with no loyalty to the country or its people. Desperate, Ezra pleaded with the bystanders for help, but they turned away, urging her to find her husband, and so she did. Badr stepped forward, imploring the Terminator to release his son, even going down on one knee, his only available option, and begged. Terminator remained resolute, stating that his actions were for the sake of the country and using derogatory language to taunt Badr. Enraged, Badr charged toward Terminator with a sword and swiftly thrust it into his heart, ending his life in an instant. The following day, guards arrived and took Badr away, accusing him of harboring a spy. After enduring torture, he was compelled to return to the war or sent to the front lines, leaving Ezra and Sinbad to fend for themselves. A couple of months later, news of Badr's death reached them. His sword, symbolizing his legacy, was handed over to Sinbad. 10 years have passed since that fateful incident. Sinbad, now a grown man, is determined to make sure his father's sacrifice was not in vain. Between the two empires lies a dungeon rumored to hold power beyond human comprehension. Both the Parthian Empire and the Rheme Empire have attempted to conquer it, to no avail, as anyone who enters the dungeon never returns. In the city of Cantasia, a merchant's wagon is ambushed by a group of former military men attempting robbery. Sinbad swiftly defeats the attackers, saving the merchants from harm. Grateful for his intervention, the merchants offer him supplies and appreciation. During their inspection of the wagon, they discover a traveler named Yunan hidden among baskets of fruits. Sinbad brings Yunan home and extends an offer of shelter, which Yunan accepts. Within the village, Yunan quickly becomes beloved for his kindness, helping care for the community. His compassion touches everyone, especially Sinbad's mother, who has fallen ill after Badr's passing. In Mega, a group of soldiers led by their commander, Drago, heads toward Tyson with the intention of apprehending Sinbad, who has been evading his military draft. The following day, before leaving for work, Sinbad assures Yunan that he can stay for as long as he pleases. In response, Yunan mentions his plan to explore the village before continuing his journey. Once Sinbad departs, Ezra confides in Yunan about her son, highlighting how he has grown to resemble his father, demonstrating the same love and dedication to his family. She shares her husband's belief in Sinbad's ability to alter destiny and expresses her concern that she might be hindering him from his true purpose. Ezra requests Yunan to guide Sinbad given his experience as a seasoned traveler, acknowledging his potential to assist her son on his journey. A man arrives with news that Sinbad has been captured by military soldiers. When Drago orders him to enlist, Sinbad adamantly refuses, declaring that they are not tools for the commander's use. He vehemently refuses to join a war that had already claimed his father's life and the lives of many other men in the village. The villagers rally behind him, supporting his decision, but the commander remains unyielding. Drago threatens Sinbad, asserting that if he doesn't comply, both he and his mother will face execution for treason. Later, Sinbad confides in Yunan, explaining the dire situation. Joining the military means being sent to the dungeon, essentially a death sentence. Refusing to join also means facing death. Sinbad reveals that he cannot afford to die yet. He must care for his mother and the villagers. The never-ending war has left their empire in ruins, and Sinbad is determined to make a difference and create a better future. Yunan advises Sinbad to venture into the tower. If the empire is truly in ruins, he should harness the power of the dungeon, become strong, and take it upon himself to save the empire and the world. He urges Sinbad to embrace his destiny and acquire the power of a king. After imparting these words, Yunan vanishes. Sinbad embraces Yunan's counsel, deciding to enter the tower. However, he finds it hard to discuss his decision with his mother. Sensing his choice, she presents him with his father's sword, expressing her belief that he has found his purpose and encouraging him not to hold back. Outside the dungeon, Drago readies his army to enter. Before they can proceed, Sinbad arrives and boldly declares his intent to claim the dungeon's power, vowing to save the empire and transform the world. Leaving the military behind, he bravely enters the dungeon, determined to fulfill his destiny. Inside the dungeon, Sinbad finds the remnants of a once beautiful city now overrun by dragons. He marvels at the surreal sight around him until he hears the desperate cries of men. Drago's army is under attack by the dragons, resulting in the death of all soldiers. Sinbad engages in a fierce battle with a dragon, narrowly escaping a lethal blow thanks to Yunan's intervention. Together, they manage to flee the immediate danger. Amidst their argument, they encounter the king of dragons flying above them. Following the king to its lair, they discover it surrounded by other dragons and geysers with a door visible behind the dragon. Drago suggests using Sinbad as a decoy, a proposition Sinbad vehemently refuses. Sinbad questions the countless soldiers who had likely been sacrificed here by their comrades. Drago dismisses the sacrifice, considering dying for their country the highest honor for a Parthian soldier. Leaving Sinbad behind, Drago ventures off alone toward the door. When Drago reaches the door and it refuses to open, he is spotted by the king of dragons. Sinbad comes to his rescue, but Drago, feeling defeated and dishonored, urges Sinbad to kill him, seeing his fear as a failure as a soldier. Sinbad, however, reassures him that it's not shameful to fear death. It's a human instinct. He emphasizes that being human comes before being a soldier and asserts that neither the emperor nor the military offers anything beyond sending its people out to die. Sinbad expresses his desire to change this to build a nation that protects its citizens. With determination, Sinbad takes a shield, using the geysers to ascend into the sky, dodging the dragon's lightning breath and ultimately defeating it. By slaying the dragon, they gain the keys needed to open the door. Together, they cross the threshold and face various monsters, supporting each other throughout their journey. As they work together, they forge a bond, realizing that their initial judgments of each other were mistaken. Inside the temple, Sinbad discovers a magical lamp housing Bal, the Djinn of wrath and heroism. The Djinn possesses the ability to grant mastery and the power of a king to one of them. A fierce battle ensues between Sinbad and Drago as they compete to claim this immense power. In the end, Sinbad emerges as the victor, gaining control of the jinn. Outside the tower, the Emperor's soldiers await to seize the dungeon's power and treasure from the one who claims it. Sinbad defiantly refuses, openly declaring his opposition to the Emperor. Faced with an attack, he manages to escape with Yunan's assistance, who guides him in unlocking his newfound powers. Upon returning to Ticiny, Sinbad learns that he has been absent from the town for 2 months. During this time, his mother's health has deteriorated significantly. As he visits her, she mistakes him for his father, revealing how much Sinbad has grown and expressing pride in him. She informs him that Sinbad has taken his father's sword and embarked on an adventurous journey, unaware that the brave adventurer standing before her is her son. His mother's words of pride lingered in Sinbad's heart, a testament to her love for him. Shortly after uttering these sentiments, she passed away, leaving him with a profound sense of loss. Now renowned across the empire as both a hero for conquering the dungeon and a traitor, Sinbad set sail on a boat, determined to bring about significant change. Following his triumph over the dungeon, similar ones emerged all over the world. Many attempted to conquer these dungeons, but none succeeded. Sinbad earned the reputation of the dungeon capturer, although he found himself lost in a place called Imochak. Here, he encountered Hina and Papirica, locked in a battle against the formidable aberrant narwhal. Despite their best efforts, they were overwhelmed by the creature. Just as the monster was about to strike the final blow, Sinbad arrived just in time, slaying the creature and rescuing them from certain death. Given another chance by his brother Barbarossa, Drago, along with the Emperor's secret forces in Shamlash, was sent after Sinbad with a mission to kill him and retrieve his sword. Sinbad admired Hina's courage for confronting the massive beast armed only with a single harpoon. Suv and Papirica woke up and congratulated her brother, revealing that Hina was a childhood name he had long outgrown. Now that he had defeated the narwhal, he could choose a warrior's name. Intrigued, Sinbad asked them to share more about Imuchak and its ruler. They explained that their father was the chief. Despite the warning that the people of Imuchak were unwelcoming to outsiders, Sinbad remained undeterred. Eager to meet new people and explore different cultures on his quest to change the world, he welcomed the opportunity. They escorted him back to their village where he would meet the chief and learn more about their way of life. The village was abuzz with preparations for Maharigan, a celebration honoring Hana's warrior status. The chief shared news that they had discovered a dungeon, planning to send some of his men inside. Sinbad, aware of the dangers, warned the chief to steer clear of it, revealing his own powers and explaining how he had acquired them. During this time, Maika was attacked by Jafar, the chief of Shamlash. Sinbad intervened and defeated Jafar, but he managed to escape, vowing to be the one to kill Sinbad. Feeling guilty for not defeating the narwhal and deceiving everyone, Hana decided to enter the dungeon to prove himself as a true warrior. Sinbad followed him to protect him with Shamlash in pursuit. Inside the dungeon, Hina encountered a swarm of flesh-eating butterflies and jumped into a river to escape. He eventually found himself in a room with the door leading to the treasure, where he defeated a menacing monster. However, he was confronted by Jafar, Vidal, Mozado, Draggle, and Fallon. Just in time, Sinbad arrived, saving Hina before the battle could commence. Together, they overwhelmed their adversaries and managed to escape into the water, narrowly avoiding the imminent threat. Fallon used her powers to freeze the water, momentarily trapping Sinbad and his companions. However, they narrowly managed to escape before the ice could consume them and ventured inside the door. Fallon provided healing potions to members of Shamlash, although Drago harbored suspicions about the potions but refrained from commenting. Within the temple, Drybo summoned the djinn known as Valifor. To everyone's surprise, Valifor revealed Fallon to be a witch and promptly banished her from the dungeon, leaving only a doll in her place. It was unveiled that the witch had been working for Drago's brother, Barbarossa, who aimed to claim the king's power for himself. Drybal attempted to seize the power of a king, but was deemed unworthy. Soon after, Sinbad and Hina arrived, and Valor, the djinn, informed them that whoever captured Minifor could inherit his powers. However, if they failed, they would be trapped in the dungeon forever. Each individual made solo attempts to capture Minifork, but proved unsuccessful in their endeavors. Sinbad gathered the group and proposed a different approach. He suggested that they collaborate and provide everyone with an equal opportunity to capture Minifork, refusing to participate himself. Initially met with suspicion, Sinbad disclosed that he already possessed a djinn. Deviously, Sinbad tricked the others into assisting him in capturing Minifork. He revealed his grand vision, explaining that his plan for power surpassed the abilities of all of theirs combined. Sinbad disclosed his ambition to utilize the power of the king's vessel to establish a new country that could transform the world. With unwavering determination, he asked the others to join him on a global adventure, setting the stage for their extraordinary journey together. In the midst of their deliberation, Jafar and his men succumbed to the power of the Black Rook, transforming into demons. Battlefor informed them that the only way to halt the demons' complete transformation was to eliminate all the vessels using the power of Baal. However, Sinbad adamantly refused, declaring his determination to save his comrades. A fierce battle ensued, with Sinbad, He-Man, and Drago fighting against the demon. Drago commanded them to vanquish the monsters, but Battlefor disagreed. He revealed that the humans the demon had taken as vessels were still alive within its chest. The only way to defeat the demon while preserving the lives of the others was to deliver a single powerful shot through its center. United in purpose, all three men collaborated, giving Sinbad the opportunity to utilize his powers against the demon. Just as Sinbad was about to vanquish the demon, the witch Fallon intervened through one of her manifestations, taking away his sword. Barbarossa revealed to Draggle that he had been declared dead to the Empire and expressed his shame for the Draggle family. Draggle fell into despair, but Sinbad refused to give up, even as Hina was captured by the demon and he suffered severe injuries in the battle. Inspired by Sinbad's bravery, Hina managed to escape from the demon's clutches with the help of Draggle, turning the tide of the battle. However, the threat wasn't over. The demon attempted to resurrect itself using the chief as its ideal core. Bullied 4 informed them that defeating the demon would result in the boy's death. Sinbad, driven by his unwavering determination to save his comrades, tried to pull Jafar out of the demon to rescue him. Despite the warning that doing so might cost him his life, Sinbad declared he would do anything to save his friends. Transported into the boy's memories, Sinbad confronted Jaf's past self, who was crying and calling out for his parents. Jafar explained that he had no choice but to kill his parents as they no longer had a home. Sinbad embraced both Jafar and his younger self, promising to provide a home for him where he wouldn't have to survive alone. Using his powers, Sinbad prevented Jafar from succumbing to darkness and becoming a demon. With everyone saved, Galfar asked them to choose the king's vessel among them, and they selected Sinbad. Together, they found themselves outside the dungeon, where the chief of Imuchak awaited them with his army. Drago decided to return to the Empire, fully aware of the risks, as his brother could have him executed for treason. Despite the danger, he chose this path to protect someone dear to him back home. Before leaving, he received the blessing of the king's Megoi and its Jinn, becoming the first warrior ever to obtain it, although he was yet to master its use. Hannah was finally able to participate in the ceremony and was given the name Hinahoho, marking a significant moment in his journey. Hinahoho spoke to his father about his decision to depart with Sinbad, having received the chief's blessing and his new wife's support. Sinbad, now renowned as the conqueror of the dungeon, also took on the role of a merchant, using a ship provided by Imuchak. Under the guidance of Lady Urumu, Sinbad and Jafar embarked on a journey of learning the various aspects of becoming merchants. Their first destination was the Reem Empire, the most powerful and extensive territory in the world, even wealthier than the maritime nation of Balbad. They attempted to sell their goods but encountered difficulty without approval from the merchant union. A merchant named Haroun came to their aid buying their goods. Initially, they were pleased, but they soon realized he had resold their goods at a significant markup. While some of the group was outraged, Sinbad explained that this was the nature of merchant work. He sent his men back to Imuchak for more goods while he pursued approval from the union. In his efforts, Sinbad encountered Haroun again and proposed that he teach him the ways of doing business in the Reem Empire. In return, Sinbad promised to reveal the secret behind obtaining Imuchak's trading permissions. Haroun agreed, but only if Sinbad became his comrade, marking the beginning of their collaboration in the bustling world of commerce. Sinbad narrates his journey to Haroun, detailing how he gained permission to trade Imuchak goods. Initially skeptical, Haroun agrees to listen. Sinbad shares his experiences as a dungeon capturer, explaining how he conquered dungeons and became the vessel for two kings' powers. Impressed, Haroun acknowledges Sinbad's storytelling prowess and questions his intentions with the powers. Sinbad expresses his desire to create a country that will change the world, albeit with an immature demeanor. Haroun guides him on gaining merchant union approval, proposing a challenge. Raise 10,000 gold coins within a month. When Haroun returns, he finds Sinbad telling city folk his adventures. After hearing the tale, Haroun, impressed by Sinbad's resourcefulness, provides him with the coins, acknowledging his fee for the story. The surprising revelation follows. Haroun is the 22nd king of Balbad, King Rashid. While Sinbad has been gathering funds for the merchant union, his devoted crew, especially Jafar, has been sailing and striving to make their leader proud, with Jafar now determined to protect Sinbad at all costs. Upon joining the merchants union, Sinbad eagerly anticipates setting up his shop. However, Rashid informs him that he needs more funds for the shop, a warehouse, and a carriage. In Reem, where gladiator fights and theater are key entertainment, Rashid advises Sinbad to share his story in an amphitheater, as it would yield more income than narrating it on the streets. Rashid also cautions him to avoid involvement with gladiators, emphasizing that such encounters could lead to trouble, especially if Sinbad is compelled to battle dangerous beasts. Sinbad agrees and starts preparing for his performance. Meanwhile, on the ship, it is revealed that Rumoru and Hinahoho now have a child named Kakiriku. At the amphitheater, anticipation fills the air as the audience eagerly awaits the performance of the renowned dungeon conqueror. Suddenly, Sinbad takes the stage, commanding attention with the awe-inspiring powers of both Bul and Valofor. His performance captivates everyone present, and soon he becomes a sensation throughout Reem. People from distant lands flock to witness his incredible abilities and hear his captivating tales. Sinbad expresses his gratitude to Rashid for the inspiration but realizes he needs a larger venue for his performance. He decides to stage his act in the Grand Colosseum. As the crew returns to Reims, Sinbad arranges for one of his new workers to pick them up. They make it to the Colosseum just in time to witness Sinbad's mesmerizing performance. Amidst the spectacle, Kikiriku, the child of Rumoru and Hinahoho, manages to slip away. Jafar quickly pursues him, only to find the little one in the clutches of the Colosseum's monstrous creature. Jafar engages in a fierce battle with the beast, coinciding with Sinbad's ongoing performance. In the midst of the struggle, Jafar nearly despairs but recalls all that Sinbad had done to save him. This memory triggers the awakening of the blessing of the king's Magoi within him. Empowered, he defeats the monster, albeit at the cost of passing out from exhaustion. Upon awakening, Jafar finds Sinbad by his side and recounts how, during the battle, lightning had surged from his blade. Sinbad reveals that Jafar is the first Jinn warrior. However, we the viewers are aware of the true identity of the first Jinn warrior. Later that night, Rumoru expressed her gratitude to Jafar for saving her son, acknowledging his compassionate heart and predicting a future of greatness for him. She proudly referred to him as her first son. The following day, Sinbad revealed the impressive shop he had built during his absence to his crew. They were all amazed by its size and wondered how he managed it. Sinbad credited his success to his mentor, Rashid. Rashid, before leaving for Balbad, invited Sinbad to his castle and encouraged him to write a book about his adventures. Taking his mentor's advice to heart, Sinbad penned an autobiography originally intended for promoting his store. The book gained immense popularity, becoming a timeless classic known as The Adventures of Sinbad. Sinbad's next venture was the establishment of the Sindria Trading Company. Their destination was the Satan Kingdom, renowned for producing the world's finest metals. This kingdom strictly adhered to its religious beliefs and had traditionally prohibited trade with other nations. However, a recent development saw them opening up to commerce with the Reem Empire. Sinbad and his crew aimed to seize this opportunity to engage in profitable trade. Accompanied by Jafar and Menahola, he journeyed to the kingdom. Upon their arrival, they discovered that the only means of conducting business in the Satan Kingdom involved establishing a fellowship with a Canaanite named Darius, and this fellowship had to be earned through building a friendship with him. Despite multiple attempts, Sinbad found it challenging to engage in conversation with the elusive knight Darius. Each time Sinbad made an effort, a peculiar symbol on his sword glowed, mirroring another emblem on Darius's lands. Despite these seemingly meaningful signs, Darius remained unapproachable. In the midst of his persistent pursuit, Sinbad, Jafar, and Menahola found themselves being trailed. To their surprise, the mysterious follower turned out to be Darius's son, Mistress. The young boy, fascinated by the world beyond his confines, was forbidden from venturing outside Sassan due to his knightly status. Intrigued by Sinbad's adventures, Mistress approached him, eager to hear his tales. Sinbad, willing to share his experiences, not only regaled him with stories but also gifted him a copy of his autobiography. Mistress was utterly captivated by Sinbad's tales, fueled by a newfound determination to explore the world beyond his sheltered existence. However, his dreams clashed harshly with his reality. When he tried to approach Sinbad once more, he was intercepted by his father, Darius, a stern reminder of his knightly duties and the need to set an example for his younger brother, Spardos. In the heated confrontation between the brothers, Mistress lashed out, expressing his discontent with the kingdom that stifled his freedom. He was resolute about escaping this confinement, even if it meant leaving his family behind. In a moment of defiance, he approached Sinbad, begging him to take him on an adventure. Spardos, torn between his loyalty of his family and his brother's desperate plea, joined the scene, urging Mistress to return home. Mistress, however, was unyielding. He informed Spardos that there were only two ways for him to escape the knights: through death or by defeating the King Knight, his own father, in a deadly duel. He sent Spardos back with this message, severing his ties with his family and his pursuit of freedom. Amidst these emotional clashes, Sinbad met with Yuna, who revealed the existence of other dungeon capturers across the world. This information, however, did little to sway Sinbad's purpose. He was incessant to negotiate trade, not to engage in battle with the King Knight Yunan. As the tension reached its peak, the trio arrived just in time to witness Mistress engaging in a fateful duel with his father, a battle that would decide his fate within the Knights. In the intense duel, Mistress initially seemed to hold his ground, but Darius swiftly employed the power of Alice's, conjuring a shield that turned the tide in his favor. The lethal strike was imminent, but just as Darius was about to deliver the final blow, Sinbad intervened. The knights attempted to intervene, but Darius commanded them to stand down, showcasing the might of Baal, the jinn residing within him. A challenge was issued. Sinbad openly questioned Darius's status as a chosen one of God, asserting that the King Knight was just a mortal. Unbelieving murmurs rippled through the crowd. To settle the matter, Sinbad proposed a duel. If he won, Mistress would accompany him and trade would be established with his company. However, if he lost, he would face certain death. Despite Mistress's pleas for him to abandon the fight, Sinbad remained undeterred. The battle commenced, both combatants evenly matched. Frustrated by the stalemate, Sinbad unleashed the full might of Baal, undergoing a badass transformation that melded him into a formidable half-gen sorcerer, pushing his powers to their limits. Sinbad unleashed his powers, creating a gaping hole in the roof of the knight's headquarters, with Darius still within the mountain. Unyielding, Sinbad extended his display of power, carving through multiple mountains with a single monumental gesture. He confronted Darius, emphasizing that this was the true might of the dungeons. Sinbad warned of the impending chaos as people worldwide acquired this power. His mission was to prevent such chaos by founding his own kingdom, but for that, he needed allies. He implored Darius to join forces, highlighting the mutual protection they could offer one another. Meanwhile, back with the knights, tension escalated. The knights were ready to attack Sinbad's crew to extract information on their leader's whereabouts. Upon Sinbad's return, he revealed that their match had ended in a draw. Both men realized they possessed the power of the same god, rendering their conflict pointless. Darius proclaimed Sinbad as a disciple of God, establishing peaceful relations with him henceforth. As they prepared to leave, Mistress hesitated, stopped by his father's words. Darius admitted his jealousy, confessing that he too had once yearned to explore the world. He encouraged his son to follow Sinbad, to witness the world and the possibilities beyond their kingdom. Touched, Mistress acknowledged his father's influence on his strength and vowed to carry his ideals forward. Touched by his father's words and filled with gratitude, Mistress embarked on his journey with Sinbad, assuming responsibility for all relations between their group and Saturn. Spardos, bidding his brother farewell, vowed to follow in his footsteps one day, becoming a knight and exploring the world just like him. Some questioned Darius' decision to send Mistress with Sinbad after his loss in the duel. In response, Darius recounted the ancient legend of Sassan. The legend spoke of a time when impurities plagued the world until a group of people, ancestors of the Sassanians, arrived. They wielded the power of a god, cleansing the land and ushering in an era of peace under the rule of a great king. Darius believed that Sinbad possessed a similar divine power, recognizing it within him and forming an alliance. Mistress was captivated by the beauty of the world he had longed to see. He confessed his initial fear that reality might not live up to the stories he'd heard, but now, witnessing the world's splendor firsthand, he was eager to explore further and experience even more of its wonders. Upon inquiring about their next destination, Mistress learns that their next stop is the Artemira Kingdom, a small country located in the southeast region of the continent. Disappointed by the idea of visiting another small nation after the grandeur of the Assassin Kingdom, Mistress feels let down. Artemira, nestled at the end of a secluded valley, is shielded from the outside world. Access is difficult, and most who attempt to reach the kingdom are turned away, especially men, as Artemira is primarily inhabited by women who are cautious around unfamiliar males. During their journey to the Valley of Artemira, the crew encounters two women flying on a large bird. These women warn them that previous visitors to their kingdom fled in fear. Sinbad assures them that they will meet again in the kingdom soon. Traveling through the valley proves challenging, particularly when they encounter steep terrain. Sinbad attempts to use his powers to reach the kingdom faster, but Jafar stops him, explaining that such actions might make the people of Artemira even more wary of them. It takes them an entire day to traverse the valley, which is characterized by homes carved into the mountainsides and birds serving as a mode of transportation. Upon their arrival in the kingdom, they find themselves in the queen's palace, where they present their intention, establishing a trading relationship with Artemira. In the face of Queen Mira's displeasure at their arrival with men, she becomes infuriated and plans to punish them. Even when she learns that Sinbad is a dungeon conqueror like herself, her anger doesn't waver. Sinbad, Jafar, and Mistress find themselves thrown into the treacherous Valley of Death, while Hannahova faces a different form of punishment. The valley's walls are covered in slippery moss, making it impossible for them to climb out. Devoid of any food or animals, their survival prospects seem grim. As night falls, the valley comes alive with various snakes becoming their only source of sustenance. Utilizing their skills and resourcefulness, Sinbad and his crew manage to construct a shelter and start a fire to cook the snakes. Despite the challenges, they collaborate effectively, using the limited resources available to survive in the harsh environment. During their survival in the valley, Sinbad and Jafar seem to have forgotten the reason for their exile, finding contentment in their current lives. One day, Mistress grows frustrated and reminds them of their true purpose there, but his words fall on deaf ears. Sinbad and Jafar argue that their life in the valley is more comfortable than their previous adventures. Angered, Mistress leaves at night. While wandering, Mistress discovers a large piece of meat and excitedly brings it back to the group, suggesting it might be their ticket out of the valley. Sinbad finds precious gems within the meat and urges Mistress to lead them back to where he found it. Upon revisiting the spot at night, discovering the area filled with meat. However, large birds swoop down from the sky to claim the meat. Undeterred, the group continues to visit the spot every night to obtain their food. Mistress, losing hope of escape, is reassured by Jafar, who tells him to trust Sinbad's plan. Despite his doubts, Mistress follows their instructions. One night, large pieces of meat drop from the sky. Sinbad instructs them to carve the meat and wait for the birds to pick them up. The plan works, and the birds carry them out of the valley. Once outside, Sinbad reveals that he realized the people of Artemira were throwing meat into the valley to collect the precious stones. By taking the food, they led the Artemirans to believe a carnivore was stealing it. The Artemirans then sent down large pieces of meat to distract the supposed predator. Their escape relied on waiting for these large pieces. After exiting the valley, Jafar and Mistress set out to find Hinahoho, while Sinbad goes to reclaim his sword containing Bal and Valifor from Mira. He challenges the queen to a duel. Mira, the holder of the Jinn Cerberus, deflects Sinbad's attacks with her elemental prowess. Sinbad switches between Jinn, but Mira, wielding Cerberus, commands 3 elements simultaneously. She attacks Sinbad with fire, seemingly hitting him. However, Sinbad, utilizing Valfor's power of stagnation, evades the attack and appears behind her. Jafar informs Mistress of Valfor's true power, which slows down the enemy without their awareness. Mira attempts to wield all 3 elements simultaneously, but Sinbad disrupts her powers and cautions her that doing so would harm her own kingdom. He employs Valfor's ice abilities to defeat her, becoming the first man to do so. Following her defeat, Mira summons Sinbad and his crew for another meeting. She expresses her disappointment in losing, but admits it was the most fun she's had in a long time. Mira agrees to form an alliance with the Sindria Trading Company. She plans to send diplomats to the trading company and hopes to establish strong relations with them. Mira shares her belief that as her kingdom connects with the outside world, it will grow even stronger. However, she confesses that there's another reason she decided to align with him. She doesn't want Sinbad as an enemy. She asks for his true motives behind coming so far and trading with her kingdom. Sinbad reveals his dream of creating a new country and bringing peace to the world. He inquires if Mira felt the power she possessed when transformed and implores her to lend her power to help him realize his dream. He asks her to join him in working towards a world of acceptance, alongside the chief of Imuchak and the Canaanite assassins. Mira remains skeptical and inquires about the truth of Sinbad's words. In response, Sinbad mentions Mistress, the son of the King Knight who now travels with them as a representative assassin. Mira deduces that the only way Sinbad could have formed an alliance with the Assassin Kingdom is by defeating the King Knight, indicating that the legendary sorceress is not yet aware that the Assassin Kingdom has conquered a dungeon. Jafar expresses his curiosity about the legendary sorceress, and Mira explains that she is a 200-year-old magi. She elaborates on magi's roles as guides who appear throughout history to assist people in times of need. Magi are the most powerful sorcerers and serve as thrones who select the kings. They possess unparalleled abilities capable of making dungeons appear and leading chosen individuals to these dungeons to attain the power of a king. Mira believes that the dungeons appearing worldwide are the same as those in the legends. At this point, Sinbad realizes that Yunan is one of the magi and has been guiding him since the beginning. He asks Mira if she knows about the nature of magic, to which she responds that the magi are blessed with the Rook, which is the headwater of life flowing through the world, a force of immense significance. Imagining the Rook's blessing, Sinbad realizes its potential as the embodiment of the world's wealth. Mira explains that the appearance of dungeons worldwide is a consequence of their shared destiny, orchestrated by forces beyond their comprehension, leading them to this moment. United with Hinahoho and accompanied by their diplomat from Artemira Parson, they prepare for their next adventure. Before they depart, Mira and her daughter come to bid them farewell. Mira expresses her desire for a good relationship between them and her daughters, who will succeed her. Her youngest daughter, Pisti, takes a liking to Sinbad and gifts him a feather from the rock bird as a symbol of luck. She offers her blessings for their journey, and Sinbad and his crew set out. They return to Napoleon, where Sinbad introduces his newest members and expresses his determination to make Sindria the greatest company in the Reem Empire.